Right, while everyone is hopping into the Zoom, welcome everyone to the Sunflower Music Festival's Women in Music panel. I am super excited to be here with all these incredible women in the music industry chatting with you tonight. Jess Einhorn did an incredible job of putting this all together. This panel tonight, as well as a recent panel with employees from ASCAP's data strategy team that happened a few weeks ago. And tomorrow night, there's going to be a really exciting music festival with different artists from all around the globe. So definitely make sure to tune into that too. So before we start, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Haley. I graduated from the University of the Arts this past May with a dual major in vocal performance and music business, entrepreneurship, and technology. And since then, I've been working as a digital marketing coordinator for Ars Nova Workshop in Philadelphia. They are a small nonprofit presenter of experimental and jazz music. And it's been amazing working with them. And starting Monday, I will be working with The Orchard, which is a subsidiary of Sony Music. They are an incredible independent music distributor and label services company. So I'm super excited to start that as a marketing temp. And yeah, that's a bit about me. So to kick things off, let's learn a bit about these awesome people here today. So if you all want to go around and introduce yourself, let us know who you are, where you're from, where you work, how long you've been working there, and what your role is like.
Who's gonna popcorn it first? Oh, I guess I spoke. Anyway, hey y'all, welcome. Thank you all for being here and for these amazing ladies and Jess for putting this together and Haley for you for holding it down. My name is Carla Estelle Hernandez. I am a first generation Dominican American working in the music business. I am by day, my day job, can you imagine that, is the proud director of member success over at Rec Philly, where I've been for the past 5 years. I pour my heart into my creatives. And if you think about Rec Philly like a gym membership for creatives, I am your personal trainer, walking you through where you're going, where you want to be, and those steps that you got to take in between to take them. We have a 10,000 square foot facility in the heart of Center City, 9th and Market, that we have over 14 private studios, podcasting, photo, recording studios, and everything in between to make sure that the arts are accessible and affordable to creatives, especially during this time. And then I moonlight as an artist manager for soul, R&B, jazz, fusion artist Max Swan here in the city. So I am 24/7 living La Vida music.
Awesome. Very cool. Rec Philly is awesome. Really amazing resource for Philadelphians to take advantage of. For sure. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Oh, there you go. You beat me, Lauren. No, Lauren, you beat me.
You gotta like rock, paper, scissors for it.
Oh my goodness. All right, I'll go. Okay. So my name is Lauren. I am from Massachusetts. I was living in New York before this pandemic hit, but I am back to good old Boston. And if anyone who knows me knows how much I love my hometown, so there are worse places I could be. I started at Red Light Management in 2017, September of 2017, as an intern, and my internship turned into a full-time job, and I've been there ever since. I started working there full-time in January of 2018, and I got hired to be the executive assistant of the president of our company. And I'm still working under him, and I also do day-to-day management there for a couple of clients. I work with Lindsay Lomas, who is a singer-songwriter out of Nashville. My boss is the manager of the Tom Petty estate, and I work on that as well with him. And I also am the intern coordinator at Red Light. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
I guess I got the next spot. Hey everybody, my name is Carolyn Sanchez. I grew up in New Jersey, but right now I live in Brooklyn. I've been freelancing as an audio engineer in the New York City broadcast and live event industry for the last 7 years. I went to school for sound engineering arts at William Patterson University in North Jersey. I graduated in 2013 and I've been freelance ever since. I've done jobs for all kinds of companies, ABC, NBC, private events, corporate events, but mainly focusing on live music for broadcast. So live concert streaming, live performances for television, things like that. So that's that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 7 years. Wow.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Okay, and I'm Sydney Stein. I'm from Girls Behind the Rock Show, where I'm the marketing director. And what we do is we provide opportunities to help advance women and gender diverse individuals within the music industry. So we run lots of programming for those individuals to get hands-on experience in live event situations, or we place them into intern placements. So we're just all about educating those genders that are marginalized within the music industry and trying to provide them with opportunities that will help them further themselves and create more representation within the music industry. Outside of that, my other day jobs have been social media for labels or management, working with local bands doing marketing, and then I also do live event production, so PA, runner, VIP, all that sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, Girls Behind the Rock Show is amazing. And to anybody out there who is of a marginalized gender within the music industry, definitely check it out. Definitely join their Facebook page. It's an amazing resource, an amazing community too. So now that you've all introduced yourself, let's go into some questions. So first, you have all very different but equally compelling roles within the music industry. So what led you to work in your specific field, and why did you stay there, and have you stayed there?
Oh, I'll go. I think for me, I didn't expect to be doing marketing. I went to school for a degree in management and just added marketing on as like an extra thing that I could just get a little extra thing for my degree. But I really wanted to do artist management. I still want to do artist management, but I think kind of like got thrown into social media early on, as a young person working in the industry. There's a lot of jobs in that, and we're familiar with it. We grew up with social media. And I just started working more and more in marketing, and it just became more interesting, and seeing all the cool artist campaigns that these artists work on, and it's always inspiring to see what these artists create, not just with their music, but also with everything surrounding it. So I don't know, I just kind of fell into it. Felt like the place to be creatively.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Scarlett, do you want to?
Y'all gonna make me go. Hey, Lord, where do I start, y'all? So I, funny enough, started just learning more about what the music industry was in general. When I was about 15, I was a voiceover for pretty much like Dora the Explorer on the radio. So it was like bilingual and all that good stuff. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It was broadcasted. And then I got into high school radio, which transitioned into, I'm going to scam my favorite bands to pull up, and I'm going to get to interview them. And this happened with Forever the Sickest Kids, Asking Alexandria, All Time Low. I mean, hysterical.
Nice.
It really just opened up the opportunities that, I grew up in Dominican Republic. So when I came here, I was hungry, and I was hungry for opportunity. And I understood that when you defer your age for what you're doing, you can kind of do anything you want. And I kind of live in that little naive bubble. I like it there. But from there, I was a barricade babe. You could catch me at any show. I've seen Fall Out Boy over like 52 times. So I really became immersed in, awesome, they're killing it on stage, but who's behind these people, And a big shout out to Nadine Peña, who's another fellow Dominican who opened up the world of publicists and working with these bands, and that you don't have to be an old, straight white guy with tattoos to work with bands. Imagine that. But my brain was just completely obliterated. And from there, I followed my heart to Philly. World Cafe Live was the venue that I fell in love with, and made sure that, I knew this is where I needed to be. And someone asked me in college, what do you want to do? I said everything. And they literally drove me to Rec Philly the next day, and they couldn't get rid of me. But between all that time during college, I've done just about every job, production, front of house, back of house, hospitality, running, that there is to do at just about any venue here in Philly, including actually Global Citizens Festival in New York has a huge place in my heart, gave me a really, really big chance there. And I did that for a couple years. But it really was just everything, no matter what I did, was just tied back to the artists and these amazing creatives that deserve this support. And this, I get to be a professional fangirl. And I think that's really what made me follow my heart and just assure that I kept that passion in whatever I do. But really, you know, day to day, my MO is, you know, art, music, creativity, and taking care of the people behind it. But what made me fall into it was doing a bunch of stuff I didn't like. I was not good at booking. I was not good at any of that, but it took doing and asking questions and looking dumb and, you know, looking really smart sometimes, you know, with the social media. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. I was a genius, brilliant. Nobody could tell me otherwise. But it took a lot of doing and a lot of trying and a lot of not being scared of looking dumb to be where I am. And I'm so thankful for any time I did look dumb.
Awesome. Yes. Taking risks and just really putting yourself out there is so important too. And really like networking, I think, goes so hand in hand with that. Yeah. Caroline and Lauren, who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback off of Scarlett a little bit there. I was and still am, so I play flute. I've been in bands since like the third grade, total band geek, right? And then somewhere like middle school, high school happens, and like ska is cool because that's like band geek rock and roll, right? So ended up on MySpace, booking shows for like, you know, church basements and VFW halls and things like that, and realized that I really like being a part of the musicians and music that I don't necessarily play. You know, as a classical musician, I don't play ska and I don't play guitar in that rock sense, but I absolutely love that genre. It is who I am and what I love, you know? And in order for me to be part of that, I realized that I needed a job that was going to allow me to be in the music industry that could still be viable, but not necessarily performing the kind of music that I am comfortable performing. And that's how I ended up in audio. And that's how I ended up being interested in audio, because I wanted to be part of those shows and see those shows every day and really dedicate my career and my life to that. So that was how I ended up deciding on audio and pursuing it.
Awesome. Yeah. Everyone so far has really, at the core of it, talked about how special and awesome and amazing it is to be in the music industry in different capacities, whatever they may be. You're ultimately helping artists, and that's, at the end of the day, such a gratifying job to have, and being up close to the music for sure. So Lauren.
Right. You guys gave such lovely answers. I feel like I have
You're gonna give one too. Let's go.
Okay, so I basically like learned to sing before I could learn to talk. Like I've just always been a singer and a performer. And that, I guess, sort of led me to where I am today, just through experiences I had on the artist side of it. I always wanted to pursue being a performer, but it sort of just naturally turned into something else, like where I was really curious about the industry side of things, sort of similar to what Scarlett was saying, of just loving going to shows and ending up at the Barricade or ending up through crazy ways backstage at a Justin Bieber concert or something, and like meeting this person and that person backstage and being curious about what they do. And I eventually decided to go to school for music business and music performance, not really knowing what road I was going to take, but feeling like I really wanted to learn about the business side, and that would kind of be helpful for me in whatever path I decided on. And the path just sort of led me to the industry side of things. And why it was management specifically was, I guess, because I found Red Light in my intern search and ultimately decided that a management company was where I wanted to be for my internship, because management touches everything, and I felt like it was a really great way to learn about every facet of the industry. And I just have really enjoyed it ever since. I really like being the artist's like first person, you know, and being that direct communicator for them.
Awesome. Thank you all for such lovely answers. It's awesome to have people in such different roles, but with a lot of the similar themes in terms of what really drew you here and what's keeping you here in the industry. So now that we have a bit of background about what you all do, can you go around and let us know what a day-to-day looks like at your job? Granted that, especially for you, Caroline, that might look a little different now than it did 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts with a mask and a face shield now. And truthfully though, it's a little hard question for me to answer because I do work a couple different positions depending on what the job is and depending what show it is. I would say though, generally, if I'm working with a band and getting a band ready to go for a performance on television, it starts with loading in the equipment, receiving and loading in the equipment, setting it up, troubleshooting it, make sure it works before any talent even comes on the stage. Then the talent will come on the stage and we'll do our sound checks, right? Just for audio, just for text, make sure that we're cool. And then the next step is a camera blocking. Every single broadcast you see, I promise you, has rehearsed that shot a ton of times. We see it a lot to be confident and to be comfortable and to make sure that the artists are also really comfortable with what they're doing. So we'll do a camera blocking, we'll rehearse it as many times as needed. And then depending on what kind of show, is it a multi-day event? Is it a one-day wonder? Sometimes jump right into shooting it, recording it, doing any kind of changeovers that are needed. And then for us, for the technical people who are working, making sure artists are comfortable, making sure everything is working to the end. And at the end of the night, shutting it down, closing it up, packing it up, getting it out of the venue. And that's the shortest way that I could possibly try to explain what a typical one-day wonder day would look like.
Very neat. Yeah, I'm sure that's so exciting too, with so many different artists coming in and out and changing locations of what you're doing, that it's such a dynamic and ever-changing career path.
Yeah, I love that part of it. I love never really being in two venues, twice type of thing, which
Yeah.
isn't totally accurate, but I never have the same day twice. That's for sure. That's 100%. So it's great.
Awesome. Yeah. Who wants to go next? Sydney?
Yeah, I can go. For girls stuff, it's changes every day. I mean, I do a lot of social media, so like I'm constantly on the socials. So if you see something on there, that's me. Or sometimes one of the other members, but socials every day, checking that, sometimes making graphics for those if I need something quick. But also just a lot of like planning our programs, because our programs are the bulk of what we do. So just consulting on that, figuring out how we're going to do rollouts and promotion, and working with our creative and programs team to figure out how it's going to run smoothly and just how we're going to make it successful. So not really the same day to day. It's also kind of different now because of quarantine. We've moved all virtual, so a little bit of changes, but it's also kind of cool. We've been able to have more opportunities because we can just broadcast them over the internet. But as far as that goes, I don't know. It's very it's dynamic. I work with our whole entire team. I work with creative, I work with programs, I work with whoever it is. It's just I'm in and out of everything, just trying to make sure it all comes together for that public rollout to make it all look very nice, and so that the public has the best experience with what we do.
Totally. Yeah, I feel with marketing and social media too, it's such a fun job to have because you get to work with so many different people and act as a liaison for so many different departments.
Yeah, it feels like I'm like a part of every single project that we do, which is a lot sometimes, but it's also really cool because I feel like I've done so many things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. All right, Lauren, Scarlett.
All right, I'll go.
I was waiting for it.
What did you say?
I said he spoke first. That's all we've been.
I guess the day-to-day definitely changes daily. It's kind of a hard question to answer because every day is different. Some of the stuff I think that I kind of do every day, especially during quarantine and working from home, I usually try to start by just going through all of my emails and trying to catch up on everything that I missed overnight. and I usually try and send my boss his agenda for the day, let him know what's on his schedule. And then as for my day, I feel like being a day-to-day manager, that side of the job changes day to day based on what the artist has going on. So, whether it's a music video or they want to post this cover, it all just kind of depends. Oh, am I frozen?
Oh no, you're good.
You're good.
You're
Okay.
good now.
I'm having technical issues on my laptop and I'm showing up frozen sometimes. So I just wanted to make sure it was okay on your end. But yeah, it just changes kind of day to day, and I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought with the frozen part, but yeah, not a super exciting answer. But really, just depending on what the artist has going on is what I'm doing.
Very exciting. Yeah, yeah, no, but no, actually, like that's cool. How do you find that balance between both being an assistant and then also being an artist manager?
That is a great question. It's an interesting balance. I think one thing that I feel like I always try to do is make sure whoever I'm speaking to feels like they're the number one priority. Like I have multiple clients and I never want to, I don't talk to my clients about my other clients, like I always just want them to make sure that they feel like they're the only one. And I kind of try and make my boss feel like he's the only one, like that, oh, I'm not even working on this stuff. Like I'm just focusing on what you're doing. How I do that, I don't really know. I think it's more just the way I try and communicate with everyone and try and be timely about my responses on things. But yeah, it's an interesting balance, and it's gotten increasingly more interesting to juggle as things have kind of gotten added to my plate over the years that I didn't necessarily start out with. So it feels like I've added a lot of titles and I haven't lost any. So it's wearing a lot of hats over here, but
Yeah,
I want to try and make sure people feel like they're the number one thing.
definitely. That's very good advice to hear. Communication and making people feel number one, very important.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Especially artists.
Yes.
Ooh, did I go out of focus? All right, here we are, y'all. I mean, huge surprise, y'all. No 2 days are the same. So if you're looking for like your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of my days, and that's what you strive off of, this is not for y'all. Y'all can log off right now. This is truly, I mean, music and just working in the creative industry. I work with every type of creative, audio, visual, product, experience. And it is truly about committing your attention and being a good listener. But really my day-to-day as the director of member success, I am intaking everything that members have to say all the time about everything. And they are artists and they are opinionated and expressive and we love it. They hustle hard and they communicate really well. But then I'm also intaking everything from every team everywhere here at REC, and I am that little mid-funnel on the hourglass, and that just means a lot of patience, a lot of efficiency, right? So I'm also the person emailing you back, picking up the phone, texting you back. All members have a phone number that they can reach me at, and that they know that this is where they can talk to me about everything from hey, this is about my membership, hey, I need help with the app, hey, what's an EPK, so every day you just get to flex, your knowledge and efficiency in communicating that. But yeah, my day-to-day goes from a lot of customer service things, which again can go everything from help, what's a DSP, to hey, my app isn't working, and then all the way down to our virtual programming. So if I describe REC Philly as a gym membership for creatives, think about the yoga and Pilates that you get for free, right? So we also have virtual workshops that we fully take advantage of, especially now during this time, to ensure that as many people as possible are getting information they need. So everything about creating multiple revenue streams, being a creative entrepreneur, putting yourself out there correctly, how that is. And we work with our partners and some really awesome folks like at WXPN, Ballard Spahr, who are lawyers here in Philadelphia, to just assure that members are as versed as we are in what we do. I know everybody's like, my answer, because it's like we're this close to it, but we have really, really rad things that we're all doing. And no 2 days are the same, you know, and pre-COVID, I would go from that to advancing shows with Max and, you know, playing roadie and loading in and loading out, and then, you know, playing Merch Girl as well, and all that in between. But now, you know, this also gets to be a time where, as a manager, and I'm sure anybody can attest, as just an account, you know, person for other creatives, it's a little bit of a blessing to be able to take a step back and really take audit of what's working and what's not, and how can we really start, you know, what kind of different spaghetti can we start sticking at the wall, now that we have the ability to try new things. So I think the whole, you know, the whole roundabout thing is, you know, no 2 days are the same, and it's what you make of it, right? So you can really just, you know, call it quits and peace out. There's no more music industry. Or you can try to support yourself in understanding how to be more efficient when we're out of here, because it takes a certain type of someone to make that happen virtually.
Absolutely, yeah. And whether it be adapting to the pandemic or adapting to a new digital platform like TikTok, so much of the music industry is really about adapting and just constantly staying on your toes and learning what's next and figuring out how to be the best you can be in whatever.
And being excited about that.
Exactly. It's amazing. And like you had said, Lauren, I feel like in the industry, everyone has to wear so many different hats. So with that being said, in an industry where there is so much high competition, and being a woman, how have you set yourself apart from others in such a competitive field? And are there any specific skills that you found to be paramount in your journey as a professional in this industry?
I take everything personally. I'm a big crybaby. Like and I'm so proud of that now. But I think what holds a lot of people back is the fear of, I mean, what I talked about, looking dumb, right? Everybody looks dumb at one point, but there might be another point where you have the best idea in the room. And it's about gaining your confidence, and fake it till you make it is so true, you know, like, and being the least heard person in the room, and sometimes being the most, you know, heard person in the room. I think it really starts with, you know, learning what you don't want to do, and you got to do it by doing it. You know, like there's just no paramount to, I'm here and this is where I want to be and this is where it is. No, it's like, I'm here and I'm going to go and then get there, maybe, finally. So I really think that, you know, a piece of advice is, don't say, but I'm this many years old, so I can't do it. Don't say I'm, you know, a non-male, so I can't do it. Don't say I am, you know, this XYZ, because no, I ended up growing up being the person that I wanted to see growing up, right? So how can you also be that for yourself, and just create pathways that, you know, if it feels new, it's because it is new, and no trailblazer, you know, got through without getting a little scorned. So invite that, right? Know that that's going to happen, but shoot your shot, like all threes, dude. Like go all out, like, especially now that we're in this digital world. People are home. Get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so slept on for creatives. Get out there, get a strong intro email, and get dumb, you know, let them know that you know. And even if you don't, that this is what I want to learn. So I think the vulnerability that a lot of people see the music industry as being super cold and just cutthroat, yes, it is. That's any business. But what people are going to remember is how you made them feel. And when you are at least able to act like you feel good, you can make other people feel good, and assert your value without, you know, calling yourself out before you even try.
Absolutely. Yeah. So much wisdom in your answer there. I think definitely shooting your shot is so important. And especially like you mentioned, now everyone is at home, everyone is online. Get on LinkedIn, shoot your shot, connect with people in an authentic way. I know I personally have connected with so many different people on LinkedIn and had awesome conversations. And it wasn't necessarily, oh, me trying to get a job. It was just me trying to learn something. And I think that's really important too, is
you're going to give 8 times before you get. So give. Always be free to give.
Yes, absolutely. So important. All right. Anyone else want to go?
I can go.
I think
oh,
okay, go ahead. No,
okay.
go.
I think I love what Scarlett said earlier about being a professional fangirl, because I think that is a huge asset that people don't think of as an asset sometimes. But I was a fan first, and I think that passion is something that it should be harnessed and used to drive you. And I like stay active with fandoms and like pay attention to what they're doing, and I think that makes me a better marketer, and that makes me more invested into what's going on with the fan side of it. I think that's really important, and it's important to be paying attention, and that goes into the whole like TikTok becoming something new and everything's changing, and it's like you got to pay attention to what the fans are doing, and it comes from me being a fangirl myself. So like that I think is one of my greatest assets, and like something I try to highlight when I write cover letters and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan. Like fans are powerful and they're important. So that's something that I hope any fangirl that is watching this, I hope that resonates with you, and you think of that as an asset in yourself, because it is an asset in yourself.
It resonated with me. I love it. I mean, everything you just said, I think, is so spot on, and I feel like there are some other questions that are going to come up that I'll have answers that tie into that, because just 110%. I was talking about this panel with a coworker of mine yesterday, and that was something that I talked about with her too. Yes, 100%. I think that passion is so incredibly important, and it is something that, you know, you don't want to lose. Like, and I think sometimes people do lose it when they work in this industry, and then you find out maybe it isn't the industry for you. Like, maybe you just want to listen and be a fan, and you can't work in it, and that's fine. But yeah, everything you just said. And then what was the rest of the questions? How have you set yourself apart from others in such a competitive field? Are there any specific skills that you found to be paramount in your journey? I have a couple notes, so I had to reference the question. I think what sets me apart is, like I was saying earlier, I think me being a performer and a singer, like I have a perspective that not everyone on my team is going to have. I have the perspective of an artist, and I have the perspective of a vocalist who's somebody who's been classically trained, and I can hear things that maybe other people aren't hearing, and recognize certain vocal health things that other people aren't recognizing. And I think I'm a strong communicator. I think that's something that's always set me apart. I think a question that I get asked a lot, and sometimes I don't always know the answer to, is because my job came from an internship, a lot of people ask me what set me apart as an intern. And so much of it is timing and being in the right place at the right time. And you can be absolutely perfect, and there might not be a spot for you, and that's just the luck of the draw. And I got lucky, and so many many interns that have come through our program that I wish I had a spot for. So that is always going to be part of it, is the timing. But I think that what set me apart as an intern was that I just did every single task, big or small, whether it was running around to a million different hair salons trying to find a hair product for a client, or it was swiffing the floor real quick when we found out our CEO was coming, or helping decorate for the holiday party, or like whatever random, or picking up a suitcase for Tiesto, like whatever it was, like I was gonna do it, and I was just gonna be there, and I was gonna do it with a smile on my face. And I think that's kind of just what set me apart as an intern in particular, was just being present and pleasant in the office.
And pleasant, yes.
The P&D.
Yeah, there's so much to be said, and people say it all the time, but it's so true. Kindness goes such a long way, and just putting yourself out there as a helpful, ready self-starter. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's about, I agree with everything like Lauren has just said, and I think being personable goes a really long way. You know, you need to be someone that other people want to work with, because especially as a freelancer, your resume is your the gig that you just had is your resume. it's your entire resume. So people remember how you were on that last gig. People remember how you treated them with kindness or with respect, or, you know, how, you know, even when things are stressful and not working and you're tired, and all of those things can't take away from being a personable person who other people like to work with, because that's when the phone rings. The phone rings when they had a good experience with you. You knew what you were doing, or at the very least, you definitely were present. You know, you were present, you were asking questions, you were trying to work and do a good job, especially early on as a young person who's trying to get experience. You don't need to know everything, but you definitely need to be a nice person, respect everyone, and that truly goes such a long way. You don't have to read every single manual to really get those calls, because it has a lot to do with if you're fun to work with. If you're fun to work with, and people will want to work with you, they will.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Thank you all for these answers. These are all, you gave so much good wisdom and really good stuff here. So for the next question, what has been one career defining moment that you have achieved in your career? If you can't think of one specific one, just anything recently maybe.
I have one. I don't know if it was career defining, but it was kind of one of those like pinch me moments. The first concert I ever went to was the Jonas Brothers, and last year I got to work a Jonas Brothers show, and it just kind of felt like one of those full circle moments. Like, this is why I wanted to, like, I loved music, and this is why I wanted to do it. And it was just like super cool that the first artist I ever saw in concert, I got to work their show. It was just like, it was like, I felt like I was dreaming. I was like, this isn't happening. This isn't real.
I love that. That's awesome. That is like the dream, I think, for everyone.
Yeah.
That's why you do it, you know.
Yeah.
Career defining moments. So I think a big thing for me was when I started working with an artist named Chloe MK. That was kind of the first project that I did day to day on, and it was just the first thing that was not necessarily for my boss. Like, it was something that I was doing and that I was responsible for. And just being a part of her entire journey, watching her first EP come out and watching her perform live and being a part of that was really, really special for me, and just really exciting. And it was also even more exciting because the reason I got involved in the project was because she wanted me involved in the project. And having that trust from a client and somebody who I developed a relationship with, and who said to my boss and my other coworker, you know, I want Lauren on my team. Like, that was really, really important for me, and really exciting. And then another answer more recently is with the Tom Petty project. We just released a big Wildflowers deluxe box set, and it was his dream project that he was working on that he didn't get to put out before he passed. And being a part of something that was so much bigger than me and so important to his family and his fans was really, really special. And having his daughter put so much trust in me was really a special thing too. So that was a big larger than life moment.
That's really special, and making such a direct impact on people's lives in that way too. Really
yeah, it was cool. It was something that I didn't think, you know, was going to be in my future, but it happened, and it was really special. So I was really grateful. I'm really grateful to be a part of that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Very cool.
I guess something I can think of recently would have been doing music playback, or being one of the music playback engineers on the VMAs. Not 2020, so it would have been 2019. It would have been, wow, like in August, it would have been a year ago. Yeah, that was really cool, because that was the first time that I had been hired for a position that truly gets a cue from the director live. So this is, you know, in my mind, a bigger role and stepping up to the plate in terms of like being trusted, being recommended, working alongside people who recommended you for that job or who put your name in the hat for that. So in a lot of ways, that was really important for me, for feeling that, oh, okay, I had done the right things. Yeah, I felt that I was doing the right things, and got to work a role that was really, really crucial and important to the show. So that was kind of that was a cool moment. That was fun.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm sure being somewhere like the VMAs is like a really, really career defining moment, because it's just so visceral and you're there. You're there. That's awesome. All right. So, did everyone answer that question?
No, I think we're playing the who, when, when.
Yeah.
I spoke. I broke my own rule. There's a few of them, right? I mean, I'm going to go right back to Sydney's fangirl full circle moment. Hashtag fangirl full circle. I'll write that one down. But again, I'm a huge Fall Out Boy fan. I've been following them around since I was like 12. But hilarious. I've never told this story, but very funny. There was this one time they were in Texas, and it was right after South by Southwest, and I went to San Antonio and went to go see them. All my friends had meet and greets back when that was a thing. I did not. And so I made a fake one, and it worked, and I got in. And it wasn't until no more than 2 years later where Nadine Pena, my sweet, sweet Dominican angel, asked me to be her guest, VIP, backstage, like with Bob, their manager, and their families. And it was very humbling, you know, to know that I am still that fan, and I still respect them so much. But now I'm a peer, you know, I'm a friend, I'm around. They've known me since I was about 12, you know, to now I'm 26, 25, 24 when it happened. But that was huge. 2 is just, you know, stepping up into my own, and just, you know, I really do get paid to be myself at Rec, and I think that's very career defining. Having and keeping a job during COVID is so important, and instead of survivor's guilt, just really having that drive to continue on doing what I do every day, which is such a blessing. And then I guess non-selfishly, kind of selfishly, just yesterday or 2 days ago, Time is just kind of doing this on me. Both our co-founders were named Forbes 30 under 30. I'm getting teary-eyed. It's the wine. But just if they're the heads of it, you know, I'm most definitely the heart, and to be a part of this beautiful project and bringing it to life, and you know, seeing that Forbes recognizes that, that's very career defining, and I can't wait to have more moments like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I saw that too, and that's so exciting. So awesome for Rec, so awesome for Philly, so awesome for you. That's really cool. Yeah. So
the sneaking into the meet and greet thing is like a rite of passage, I think.
I kept the fake one, and I cannot wait to
you have to keep the fake.
I always think that Pete Wentz is going to be my boss one day. I truly just like manifesting. Like, it's,
you have to keep
it to his face. I was like, we're going to work together one day. I don't know when, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be great.
That's incredible. I love it. I did that. Well, we didn't make fake ones. It was like before Ariana Grande's first album came out, like she was just the girl from Victorious. They like weren't strict at all about the security, and like the people who left, like they kept their wristbands on, they didn't cut them off, and we knew some people, we were like, can we take them? And they were like, yeah. We're sticking them together with gum and like back in. And I think she absolutely knew that we snuck in and like respected the hell out of it. She was like, yes, this is fantastic. You have to. You just have to do it.
Yeah. I feel like as a child, my dad would like talk to me at every concert, be like, so here from where we are now is how you can get to the barricade. There's a security guard there and there. Like a few summers ago.
Elbows.
I was with my boyfriend on the lawn at BB&T. I think it's called now, BB&T. Across the river, and we were seeing David Byrne, and I was like, let's get from the lawn under the pavilion because it's about to storm. So I was just casually like, oh, let's just pretend to be in conversation and get past the security guard. And he was like, nice try, but no. And then we ended up just climbing right over when the rain poured down. So,
but I think that's another really good piece of advice. Look like you know where you're going.
Oh yeah.
I think I've gotten into most backstage areas, anything, or even just to the right people. Just look like you know where you're going. You know, I had two friends who had, short story, two friends, all access passes. I did not have an all access pass, but I was like, you're gonna stand in front of me, you're gonna stand behind me, we're gonna be talking, and we're just gonna be like, yeah, and I'm just gonna just scoot right in through. So look like you know where you're going, because you do. You just don't know what you're getting to yet.
Applicable to all things in life. Confidence is key.
The library, superstore, like all.
Absolutely. So for the next question, because we're all women here and the panel is titled Women in Music, let's ask some questions about being a woman in music. So what do you think the biggest challenge of that is? And can you talk about a time that you struggled in the music industry because you were a woman and how you dealt with it?
Being a fangirl is you either have to empower it or it gets you bullied. You know, I think as a Latina, as a non-male, I think there's always the naivete that gets stuck to our name, and that we don't have a serious side, and that we're not efficient, and that everything's emotional. But when artists are emotional, that's authentic. But when we do it, it takes away from our drive and all of our brilliance and everything we bring to the table, because there is no business without heart. And non-males, women, we bring that heart to everything we do. And, specifically for Caroline, like, women literally have better ears. It is science, y'all. So don't ever come at me sideways about anything about that. So I think what happens is that when people are up against a wall, they push back. So I think the biggest thing I've struggled with is, oh, Scar, she's always so happy, so bubbly, but Scar can get down. You don't want to get on Scar's bad side, because Scar could definitely tell you about yourself and everything else about it. So at the end of the day, it's about embracing what makes you different and what makes you emotional and what makes you vulnerable and authentic. But knowing that you know your shit at the end of the day. And I think that's always been the biggest struggle. How can I be stern and hard, but also show that I'm a super loving, amicable, personable person. And unfortunately, it is up to us not to take on that emotional burden that males do put on females in this industry. So, and I mean, as a Latina, I remember working a Papa Roach ICP like metal show, and I had my Metallica shirt on. I worked with Metallica twice. Boom, okay? And the guy was like, oh, did you stop at Hot Topic this morning to like get that? And I was like, I've had this for 5 years. Like, get out of my entire face, because it's beat to the heavens, and I'm gonna need you to step forward. So you're always gonna have that pushback that you're not this, you're not that. So that confidence and that efficiency and that power that you have to keep it regardless of anybody else. Period.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that you am I still muted? Oh. It's interesting that you bring up the thing about the hearing better, because I've actually had a fantastic mix engineer. He's a great guy, but a guy who's easily 25 years older than me say that once. I was on a job and he was just like, yeah, he says something in passing. He was like, that's why women make excellent mastering engineers, tend to make excellent mastering engineers, because they just hear better than we do. He's talking about men in that sentence, right? So it's funny that you bring that up, because I remember hearing him say that and thinking to myself, like, yeah, it's pretty cool to hear a guy who's 20 years my senior give recognition, give a nod in that female direction. I think the biggest challenge that I've come across is feeling like you need to work extra hard to prove the exact same skill set or skill level, and truthfully, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And I think overcoming that, or at least coming to terms with being comfortable with saying to yourself, like, I know I do good work. I'm confident in what I do. I know I have the capacity for learning, and I have the capacity to be in different environments. I don't need to feed into the idea that I actually need to kill myself and work super, super hard to prove something that's not true. That's inflated. It's like an inflated, like, inferiority that you're trying to fight against, right? I think that for me has certainly been the biggest challenge, you know, and if I could, and I know this goes to a later question maybe, but if I could say something to my younger self, it would be like, relax. You maybe don't need to work every single day of the month to prove that you know what you're doing, you know, there's intense pressure that you have to work really, really hard, even harder than all the guys around you. And sometimes that's a huge pain point.
Yeah. Yeah, taking it easy on yourself when you've come far and you are doing a good job, I think is such an important sentiment. I think it's so hard as someone who isn't a cis male too. You have this constant pressure, like you've said, that you have to do better, you have to be better, but it's also important to honor yourself and recognize, hey, I came this far, I'm doing a good job, let me rest myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what both of you have said is just right, nail on the head. But, you know, there's definitely this mindset that sort of exists in the industry that, you know, sometimes it's hard to drill things down to like a specific thing, but it's just the overall mindset that I think you kind of have to work against. And it's hard to kind of nail it down sometimes. And sometimes you feel like you're in this boys club that you're like being gatekeeped from. It can kind of be difficult to rise above it and be noticed for your work, and also to be taken seriously for your work. I feel like I have to work harder to be validated, whereas like a male can walk in and like they just believe that he's good at what he does because he's a male, and they believe that he has a great opinion about music because he's a male, and like so much of it ties into the fangirl thing. And I'm gonna tell like a short story, but there's like one specific moment that comes to mind to me for me, was a male colleague, a male music business person, was speaking to me, and he asked me, somehow it came up, he was asking me if I'd ever been to a concert at MSG, and I hadn't, because I'd only been living in New York for a short time. And he was like, oh, like so horrified that I hadn't been to MSG. And I was like, well, you know, any person that was playing at MSG was like probably playing at Boston Garden too. And I went there, and he was like, but like, if you could see one person at MSG, like who would it be? Like, and like, who's your favorite artist? And I like immediately sort of like froze up, because I hate that question, because I feel like from going to music school and even in high school, like people can be really like snooty about music taste, and like that question always just like upset me, because I was afraid of that negative reaction. And I felt like the conversation, like he pulled it out of me to like start talking about who I would go see at MSG, and then like totally gaslit me. And I felt like, because I hate that question and was nervous about answering it, I started off with artists that like I felt like he might respect more, to artists that I love, but I started out with those artists like strategically, because I didn't want him to like shoot me down before I even got going. And then I said, you know, like I might want to see Ariana Grande. And he like, again, like just gaslit me and like made me feel terrible about my opinion. And I was like, you just dragged this answer out of me, and then tried to make me feel small for answering it, you know? And then he said a lot of like really upsetting sexist things about Ariana Grande that was just, you know, upsetting to hear as a woman. And I sat there like frozen, like I felt like I couldn't respond. I was just so dumbfounded by like what he was saying to me that I felt like I like couldn't speak. And I remember that whole day, I just kept replaying the conversation in my head and thinking about all the things that I should have said. And it just felt like paralyzing, you know? And I was like, I'm someone who wrote a thesis paper on like sexualization in the music industry. Like, why couldn't I answer this question? Like, why couldn't I like defend myself? And I feel like since that moment, like, you know, there are other microaggressions that have sort of come up that are similar to that, that, you know, like I might not be able to answer with vigor and confidence every single time. And I still have to like remind myself that like my opinion is just as valid as the person who's sitting next to me. But I feel like I took that and tried to learn from it and be better next time and stand up for myself. And, you know, it's doesn't always come out the way you want it to, and that's okay. Like, it takes practice, but, you know, set your boundaries and speak up and don't let people talk down to you. But, you know, if the conversation doesn't go the way you want, just learn from it for the next time.
Yeah, I think there's so much like, especially there's so much, you said gatekeeping, and it's true. Like the industry is very gate kept from women. It's this very there is still that like boys club mentality, and it's so hard for women to even break into it, and for women to be respected once they break into it. And I mean, like for me, like the first live events opportunity that anyone would even say yes to was a program through Girls. Like nobody wanted to hire me before that. And then I had my first opportunity through Girls Behind the Rock Show as like a roadie for a day program. And then finally I got jobs. But even after that, like still you get those sexist comments like, can you even carry that? Or like, I'll do this because you can't. And it's like, it's so annoying. And I think that's just like, we have like double the pressure put on us because like we constantly have to prove ourselves and constantly have to like be 5 steps ahead of what a guy's doing. And I think it puts a big toll on women because you just have to work so much harder. But I hope everyone realizes the hard work that they're putting in, is very proud of themselves for that, because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially given how I know everyone here, both of everyone who said it and everyone who hasn't, every non-male who's watching this, I'm sure has their own story similar to all of yours about how you've experienced sexism within music, within the industry, within just talking about music, like your story, Lauren, of people just belittling you because you like pop music. It's ridiculous. It's so frustrating.
It was crazy. Just, I'm like,
yeah.
replaying in my head now, and I'm like, I can't believe he said that. Like, I can't believe that tree.
There's this really good book called Fangirls by Hannah Ewens, I think her name is, but it talks about, yes,
Nice.
It's so good. It approaches fangirls and the super fans of like One Direction and Lady Gaga and Fall Out Boy with such a tender heart and such vulnerability and kindness that I think is deserved, but so rarely given to fangirls, especially young women, when you consider that so much of the pop music industry and the music industry as a whole is driven by young women, is driven by queer people. So when people are poo-pooing pop music, you're belittling a huge demographic of marginalized people, and that's not okay. So,
and that's the thing. That's exactly the thing, is like, those are the tastemakers. Like, those are the people like that.
Pop equals popular.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people like it.
Yeah. And like, honestly, I find it funny that men try to gatekeep like classic rock when, like, first of all, a Black woman created rock and roll. And second of all, young girls were the ones who made so many rock and roll acts famous. Elvis, the Beatles, like those were young screaming girls that made them popular. And they were like, nobody liked them because of that. And then 20 years later, all these middle-aged men are like, oh, the Beatles are the greatest thing ever. It's like, well, okay, well, girls were like fangirling over them first.
It took you 20 years. Like, we know. Like,
yeah, like people try to gatekeep my favorite band from me. I'm like, bruh, I've been a fan since I was 5. Don't even.
Yeah. And it's frustrating, I find, in pop music particularly, and because like for whatever reason, like I feel like when you're a female who likes it, it's like invalid. It's like, like, well, you're just a fangirl and you just like Harry Styles or Justin Bieber or the Jonas Brothers and like whatever. But like when a guy's
You
like,
can't have a
oh,
valid
I
taste in music. You
actually
have
like
to think the guy's
Harry
cute.
Styles' new album is like great. It's like, oh wow, like, oh, he's
Sonically super refreshing. And it's like, but I said that in my tweet 3 years ago, but
Yeah.
no.
I've been
Yep.
saying, like I've been saying. But Harry Styles has a really wonderful quote. I should have written it down about
About
somebody
fangirls like running the music industry. Yeah.
about somebody else.
He's like, young women are the ones that know. They're the ones
Yeah.
that run this.
Exactly. It's just a beautiful quote that I don't have in front of me, but I think it really ties it all together. So
Yeah.
look it up, you'll find it.
On that note, what do you all think needs to happen in the industry in order for there to be a change and for us to start seeing more women in charge in music and for us to stop seeing so much sexism and the belittling of women and other non-men?
I think it starts with not even just women, but we need women of color. We need queer women. We need plus size women. Like, I am a loud, big Dominican chick, and I love that about me, you know? But again, it's like, how are we assuring that we are seeing the representation that we wish we saw in the industry? And that means using our own privilege. You know, we're all light and fair skinned in this room. We have privileges that other people don't have in other rooms, right? How are we constantly fighting against not only what we're battling, because that's what we get to do as humans, we battle, but how are we assuring that we are creating a space for ourselves that we can also work with others? Because our battle is someone's third battle, you know? So I think it starts with how are we empowering ourselves, and again, to be the best us, because it is not up to us to take on this emotional labor, to fight and freeze and rethink our answers, because we are valid, we are intelligent, we are worthy, we are brilliant, we are the ones making this happen. And how are we assuring that we are creating the space for other people to do so? So now it's, oh, what a surprise that you're working here. And it's like, duh, like we're 50% of the population are non-males. You know, so how are we assuring that we are challenging with every step that we take up and every title that we have and every hat that we wear, and we are challenging what the music industry is, because we are running this. When the old farts over at, you know, so-and-so records, you know, retire and pass through, you know, how are we putting that fire under them online, in person, in our teams, outside of our teams, to assure that the CEOs and the A&Rs and the, you know, audio engineers, the managers of tomorrow know that this is possible, know that they're welcome, and understand that there is no space for mediocrity and gaslighting anymore. And that starts by being angry. All right, we can get mad, we can get loud, and I think it's about time that we get angry for the people who don't have a voice. We are so blessed and privileged to even be here speaking to y'all right now when there's so many other people clawing and climbing for their own acknowledgement. So how are we, again, fighting our own battles and assuring that we are not taking on emotional labor, and rather alleviating that by assuring that we are confident in ourselves and that the people of tomorrow have a space to be?
Yeah, I love that answer. I think that's a big reason why I work with Girls Behind the Rock Show, because that's like, we try to provide those opportunities for those marginalized groups, and I think we see a difference in that. Like, we see, even just me as an example, like I got my first job in live event production because of that, and like we see that through all the people we do our programs with, and it's like it matters that these people are given a chance, because they're not normally given the chance, and like that's what needs to happen, is we need to open the space for them. Because without that, it's just going to continue in the same cycle of just the boys club and
like,
us
I'm sure it's not your goal, but wouldn't it be amazing one day to like not have like a marginalized group that you have to?
It shouldn't be the case that it shouldn't be the case that we need this. This shouldn't, like, it should just be, the industry should be diversified, and it should represent the people that are the fans of music. It should be all these different races, all these different genders, all these different ethnic backgrounds. It should represent the people that it is serving, and it's not. So we need to make the conscious change to bring those people in, and it starts from the top. I mean, like, I don't have that change of those head execs. Like I would love to see more diversity in the head executives, because that's how we're going to create those changes. But don't discount what you're doing in yourself, and like these small movements that are happening. Those are so important, because they're the ones that are going to cause that domino to flip. So I think we need more allies. If there's any men that are watching, open up the room for those women and those marginalized groups. If they're being spoken over, tell the other person to shut up and let them speak, because we need the help too. We need the support, because we can't do it all ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I think, yeah, piggybacking off of the idea of programs being made available and just continuing to have educational opportunities for young women or young people, anybody who wants to learn more about the industry. If it wasn't for me Googling about what audio was on a very preliminary basis, I wouldn't know to even pursue it. And it's amazing now to have things like this, or to have other programs, Women's Audio Mission or Sound Girls, like these organizations that are particular for audio are trying, or are successfully educating and providing opportunities for young women to realize that it is a viable career choice. I think we can feel proud in the sense that the fact that we're sitting here talking about it is going to somehow someday help someone in the future, because maybe some young person will stumble upon this footage someday and realize, like, wow, I didn't know you could be like an artist manager, and I didn't realize you could do social media. Like, I'm really great at social media, and I love, this, and just making sure that we're making education opportunities available, so that young women they're going to grow up the whole time wanting to be an audio engineer, wanting to be a booking agent, wanting to be in charge of a venue. Instead of stumbling upon it, an amazing dream come true would be to know that someone from a young age wanted it the whole time, because they knew it was a job they could have. It was a job that was attainable, and someday they can hopefully attain it. That's a huge thing, I think.
Yeah, it is. I feel like so many people don't realize how many jobs there really are in this industry. Like, when I
Agreed.
went into music business, people were like, what does that, what does that mean? What? I don't. So you're gonna be a singer? And I'm like, no. Like, people just don't know, and it's getting it out there, and letting people know what these opportunities are. And I think your answers were so wonderful. I think, Scarlett, what you said, like, I just mic drop. Like, I don't even feel like we really need to add anything. Like, I want to see the industry, the behind the scenes, be what represents the world, and these people who are cultivating the artists. I mean, I want it to look as diverse as the artists too, like, I feel like so long the industry is piggybacked off of these diverse groups, and it's important to have them represented. And I also think, on a kind of separate note, what we're doing now, like, I think things like this are so important. Even, if it helps just one person, like, that's one more person. And I think it's so important for women to come together and support each other, and not be competing against one another, but just being there to lift one another up. And when an opportunity comes up in a room, bring up your friend who's awesome at social media, or is great at audio, or whatever it may be, like, say her name and lift her up. And also, I think with my position as an intern coordinator and working with the interns, even before I was officially the intern coordinator, I always tried really, really hard to make relationships with the interns, and be there for them as a mentor in any way that I could, so that they have somebody that they can look to, and can hit up after their internship's over and talk to me about what's going on and keep in touch with me. Like, I want to be part of their network and help them. And that goes for all of my interns, not just the women, but particularly I think the women, it's that much more important. And I know that my interns are a small group, but you know, I want to be there to support them and help them and be there. And I think one thing that is inspiring to me is seeing how many young women are applying to the internships. Like, it's almost always heavily leaning women, and I think that that's hopefully evident that we're moving in that direction. So
Awesome. Yeah. Amazing answers from everybody. I love to hear it. Really good answers. So, as we've been on here for a little over an hour, don't want to keep you all too long because we're all in different time zones and it is getting late. But to wrap things up, I want to see if any of the audience members have any questions for our panelists. And while we wait for any questions, what advice would you all give for people trying to make it into the music industry, whether it's women, whether it is gender nonconforming people, whether it's men, anybody out there who is aspiring to work in this field?
Patience with yourself and with this industry. I mean, I have mentors that I talk to and it's like, yo, what's going on? Everybody's like, so right now, as much of a detriment as you can see the pandemic, because we get to talk about the pandemic. The pandemic is very much happening and very much affecting this industry. But again, like you know, I spoke on before, it is time to pivot and understand the authenticity of relationships and how we're connecting and how we're being efficient in that. So I think patience with that and yourself, right? If it takes 3 hours of LinkedIn and then you're like, I did it for the day, you did it for the day. You know, I think it's a lot of, again, giving before the ask. And I feel like we're very used as Americans of like that instant gratification. And there's nothing instant about really lasting, authentic, you know, lasting relationships. You might have that spark and that's authentic. But you know, it's a lot for you to step into your power. And I get really esoteric with it. Like, I'm all about just like stepping into who you are and not letting anybody tell you otherwise. And again, shoot for 3. Like, I was 15 getting these bands to come in. I was 16 or 17 when I interviewed Big Sean right after the 12 Disciples on BET. Like, there is no stopping. I want you to be hungry and I want you to be out there, and I stop trying to be cool. You are cool. You know, I think that's another thing, right? Where it's like, nobody wants to work with, you know, another A-type this. Like, we've already got that. Like, who are you and what are you bringing to the table? And it's always so wonderful. I don't care how boring you think you are. I don't care how unexperienced you think you are. You are so special and so needed at this time. So ask for help. I'm a very lone wolf, but my best work comes when I just ask for feedback. Feedback is the other F word that I feel like people are like, ugh, you know, but feedback when done correctly comes from the heart and comes from a great place of someone seeing something that you don't see in yourself. So start reaching out, start communities. I don't know if we have any Latinx peeps in here, but La Nueva Link is this amazing, amazing resource for creatives and just professionals working in the creative industry on Slack, and they're connecting and they are global. So find those communities, you know, if it means that you can't do it in person, do it there and build these relationships. You know, we have the entire world at the tips of our fingers, and that can either be very overwhelming or very empowering. So be the best you. Your social media is your resume. Take care of it. Start the Finsta if you have to. But really step into your people and lead into your community, because we need you.
I always try and say, like, that guilty pleasures don't exist. Like what you like and never feel guilty about it. Your passion, like, I think what we've kind of, the theme of the night, your passion is what's going to lead you. You know, don't ever let anybody dull your passion. That's what's going to drive you, you know. I have so many friends who were major Jonas Brothers fans, major One Direction fans, major Justin Bieber fans, whatever it is, who are working in the industry, who have worked Jonas Brothers shows, who have worked who've done these things. Like, don't ever let anyone dull what you love. Like, be proud of it. I've admittedly had moments where I've tried to shy away from it because I was afraid of, like, the story I told earlier, like, you know, because I've gotten bad backlash back. But like, that's what's going to drive you. If you're not passionate about the artist that you're working with, then what's the point, you know? Like, that's why we're all here. That's what brought us here. Just keep that passion and love what you do. And the other thing I'll say is, this is a piece of advice that somebody gave to me when I was applying for internships. I felt at the time I was always so afraid of reaching out to people because I didn't want to be a bother, be annoying, or anything. I was like, I have to do it by myself, you know? And she said, how would you feel? How would you react if somebody came to you with this, you know? Like, and I was like, oh, well, I'm there to help. Like, I want to help as many people as I can. And she's like, more people than you think feel the way that you do. So treat yourself like that. And you might not get an answer. You might not get a reply from that person on LinkedIn that you connected with, but you might. I was so surprised by how many people connected with me and were willing to talk to me. And yeah, like, treat yourself how you feel like you treat others, and more people are willing to help than you think.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And have the confidence that you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think some good advice is just try everything and figure out what works best for you. Because I feel like I've had so many different jobs. I've worked so many different things, and it took me a while to like figure out what I was good at. And like, if you have the opportunity to work jobs, say yes, because like that experience is important. And I think it's really important to like know how each different part of what music does, like how every part works. I think it'll only make you better as as a person working within the music industry. Like, that will be an asset to you. So try everything. If you say yes to opportunities that are given to you, and just really just go for it. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have the same advice. I was going to ask at the beginning if go for it, like just do it, is really bad advice. But truthfully, I think, you know, I think maybe that's the push that some people need, you know, like the if you're looking for a sign, this is it, you know. Don't be afraid to, when the day comes, walk into your local venue. And I mean, it can be super local. One of my first jobs was setting up like open mic nights at my town hall, you know, like there was nothing, you know, there weren't even like major bands coming through there yet, you know, but it was getting one step closer to like wanting to do this, to try this out. So don't be afraid to start local. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a question in the Q&A about how do you think we should be spreading awareness about all the potential jobs in the industry? I think maybe if it's hard for us to kind of advertise and put it out there what all of these jobs are, but for sure, whatever job or internship that you do have, ask questions, even if it's like, hey, what are the people you work with, what do they do? You know, like, oh yeah, I'm shadowing you today and I'm interning with you, but who are some of the other people you work with every day, or like some of the people you communicate with every day, you know? And that'll really open your eyes as to how many different kinds of jobs and how many people are really needed there. You need a lot of people to put on a live event or an event of any kind, you know? And if you really want to be here and you really want to do it, I'm sure whatever your skill set is, there's a job for you.
And just to make it super actionable for actually the people right on this Zoom, I know a ton of them are MBETs or UART students. Go to your majors pages. As the creator, shout out to MJ who's taken over of the MBET page. There are students and alumni who are doing this stuff. I mean, I saw 2 posts just today talking. I think it was Makai who was like, "Hey, I'm at UMC. You're gonna blow your mind, you know, finding out everything that there is to do, but you don't know until you're there." ask questions, right? Let's be vulnerable. And again, lead on our communities. Go to somewhere where you know you have something in common with everybody, because that's kind of like the social virtual icebreaker, and go from there. There's no stupid questions. There's no stupid people. And I think that I heard the best advice where it's like, how would you react if someone were to ask you that? Would you think they're dumb? Would you think that they're annoying? Absolutely not. Everybody starts somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so important. We have another question. Do you ever have to deal with imposter syndrome?
All the time. Yeah, I think this is like, I think because nobody really talks about it, but like, yeah, like you, and I don't remember who said it at the beginning, I think it was Scarlett, fake it till you make it. Like nobody knows 100% about anything. Absolutely nobody does. And the industry is always
Totally
changing. Right. Things are always updating. There's new things every day. You're not going to know everything. You just really aren't. So you just keep going. And like imposter syndrome is totally normal. Like if you think you're not supposed to be there, like that's fine to feel that, but just know that you are, because you've worked your way there. So like you are supposed to be there, and what your voice is important, and it should be heard, and just keep working because you're doing important work. And as long as you're passionate about it, you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, if there's one thing I've absolutely learned, it's that even the most respected and the people who are on top, and these people that you're like been hearing about for years, don't always know what the hell is going on, and it's fine, because you kind of don't have to, if you're passionate and you're quick to learn and you're paying attention and you're really truly, you want to be there, you actually want to do this job and you want to make this performance, this artist, this event happen. You don't need to know every single little thing. And there's a liberation in that, because it allows you to be really dedicated and focused on the task that you are doing, and the one thing that does contribute to the production and contribute to the event, and I think that's something that working your first couple jobs help you start to work through that as you get more jobs and you get older in the industry. You start working through those feelings a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, even for myself, like I think the best advice that I got about imposter syndrome and not feeling like you're where you should be is, we're all a lot more emotionally intelligent than we give ourselves credit for. And when we hit that imposter syndrome, when we take it a moment back, it's like, wow, I'm feeling like this because I've literally leveled up in ways that I've never imagined, to be in a place that I could never dream of. So when we think about things like anxiety and imposter syndrome and anger and happiness and everything in between, it is all rooted in just a very human feeling of wanting to feel connection and validated in what you do. So imposter syndrome can either make you just retreat, or make you feel like, oh yeah, that was scary, but I lived and I get to do it all over again. And it's because I put myself in this position, and it's because I worked hard and I talked nice to people and I said thank you. Say thank you, y'all. If there's any advice that I got, say thank you. Thank you for your time, patience, appreciation, all of that, okay? Sprinkle it, slab it on. It's just so true. This is a very thankless industry. So thank you the people that you work with. Thank the people that you didn't get the job from, and thank yourself for waking up and choosing music, because you gotta be a little, I won't say crazy because that's ableist, we gotta be a little wild to work in music. And so hold that dear to you, because we're all gonna be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs like way through life, and it's just what we need to do. You gotta believe in magic, at least like a little bit, like believe in Santa when you work in music.
Absolutely. Yeah, imposter syndrome is so real, and I think something that I found to be really helpful is, as hard as it is not to, don't compare yourself to other people, because as much as somebody might look like, oh, this person is the pinnacle of success, I want to be them, I want to have their career, that person is struggling the same way that you're struggling. You never know what somebody's got going on, whether they're having family problems or they're dealing with mental illness or they're having financial hardships. Everyone has their own battles they're facing too. And as cliche as that might sound, really, once you just take in perspective that everybody is just a human, Ariana Grande is just a human, as we're all just humans, you know, and really putting it in perspective and congratulating yourself for what you are doing and recognizing that you're on your own beautiful, special journey, and that no matter what that might look like, that's valid and that's good, and you're going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, if anybody's ever struggling with those feelings of anxiety and depression, and I feel like my industry's crumbling in front of me, reach out. You have so many people that love you. And I think we just forget to talk about when it gets ugly, you know, when it gets, sad, and you are super loved, and you have an amazing community behind you, whether you reach out to them or not. So that's very real in the music industry, is to take care of your mind. Therapy. I recommend everybody in the music industry get into therapy, mindfulness, and whatever that means to you. Because again, when you're in a thankless industry and you're not used to thanking yourself, it becomes a very vicious circle. So find solace in yourself and confidence in yourself, and find solace and confide in other people as well.
And I think beautiful advice. You all speak so wonderfully. I'm like, are they?
You do it so
Lauren. Dancers? You all sound so great. I think, especially with this being like a woman in music panel, I feel so often women don't give themselves the credit that they deserve, myself included. It's the imposter syndrome is definitely real. I feel like sometimes I'm constantly questioning, like, okay, I've been here for 3 years, like, how much have I really accomplished? Like, what have I really done? Like, should I be speaking at this panel right now? You know what I mean? You're like thinking, like, it's like, and then you have to sit back and remind yourself, like, no, like, I worked really, really hard to be where I am. Like, I'm good at what I do. There's a reason I'm still here. There's a reason I'm around. There's a reason why these people trust me with these things, you know? And just give yourself the credit. I think so often women in general, not necessarily in this industry, just don't. And we're great workers, we're hard workers, we're passionate workers, and just don't forget it. You will sometimes, but remind yourself.
Absolutely.
I think stuff like this always reminds me, like, I enjoy doing stuff like this because it's like, it brings you, it reminds you why you're here. It reminds you why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Remember to go to shows. I know it sounds crazy, but someday you're gonna get an awesome job, and the like jaded feelings kind of start coming in, and you're tired and you're working a lot or whatever, and like, just remember to keep going to shows as an audience member. Remember why you wanted to do it in the first place.
That's great.
Because I mean, the truth is, you will sometimes forget why. So remind yourself. Just remember to remind yourself.
I feel like so often we go to so many things as an obligation that it's like hard to, like, sometimes you forget, like, you know, this is why I'm doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And
you got to keep being a fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep being a fan.
Yes.
Don't
Definitely.
let the haters get you down about being a fangirl ever. Never. Keep being a fan. That's why you're here. That's why we're all here. That's why we all have these jobs. You wouldn't be here if there weren't fans.
Thank you, Emily, in the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Super sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, before we wrap up, does anyone have any final words they'd like to say, anything they'd like to share? If people want to connect with you, is that something you're comfortable with? Where can they do that at?
If you want to connect with me, I'm Sydney K. Stein on everything. If you want to follow Girls, we're Girls BTRS on everything. If you're somebody who's interested in like breaking in and like you haven't gotten that first opportunity, or like you don't know where to start, Girls is a great resource for that. We have lots of education and programs for that. And other than that, thank you to Jessica. Thank you, Haley, for putting all this together and organizing everything. It's been really great. Thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, shout out to Jess. This is part of her senior thesis. She did an
Yeah.
amazing job. So make sure to come out tomorrow night to her music festival. It's going to be really exciting. She has artists from all around the globe, and they're amazing. I've had the privilege of seeing a little sneak peek of some of the videos, and they sound awesome. So be there. So yeah. thank you all so much for chatting here today. You all spoke so
Sure.
briefly and gave
Thank you.
Shamelessly plug my at. It's at Scarlett Estelle on everything because I got my SEO on lock. Okay. 1T, nothing fancy, at recphilly.com for any questions that y'all might have. We do have spring internships coming, so I would love to hear from y'all. Please connect with me and be nice to yourself and to each other, first and foremost.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you everybody. I really appreciate it. If anyone has any particular questions about like tech stuff or audio related stuff or anything more in like the technical roles of events and stuff, please reach out. I'm happy to answer questions or get you in touch with other people who maybe do jobs that would be a good fit for you. So please reach out.
Feel free to add me
I'm
on
going to challenge you
LinkedIn.
to connect us all via email as well, all the panelists here.
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing. Yes. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn or anything like that. I put my Instagram in the chat. I don't think you want my Twitter because I just literally tweet about sports.
Oh, we love a good shit poster. Come through.
But yeah, add me on LinkedIn. Sometimes I'm really bad at checking it, but I will get to it, I promise.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much, and I hope everyone has a great night and that people are able to connect and forge some connections and keep in touch.
Thank you so much, Haley, and thank you to
Yeah,
Jeff.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lauren, Caroline, Sydney, Haley, y'all rule. Thank
Yeah, thank you to all of you.
Yeah,
Thank you
all of
so
you.
much. Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Good night.
We go backstage. Bye.